AI agents.
AI agents.
AI agent.
AI agent.
Most explanations of AI agents are either way too technical or way too basic. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I go about building an AI agent using a 3-step method. This is for people who have no technical knowledge whatsoever. First, we'll identify what the problem actually is that you need to solve either inside of your business or just for everyday life. Then we'll break down how the AI agent works. From there, we're going to get into the saucy bits of putting in the information, the knowledge, the prompts, building the brain of this agent. By the way, I'm Josh O'Sullivan. I've built and scaled my own AI company. I've worked with thousands of people. I've helped them to scale their businesses and their own companies. And I've spent over $200,000 learning and building this stuff so you don't have to. Let's get into the meat, veg, and potatoes. Alrighty, the meat and veg. What you're looking at here is me. This is Josh the builder. And Josh here is a representation of your AI agent. Think about me in this example, my AI agent, as an employee for yourselves. Now, this employee, you need to give them a role. You need to give them a responsibility. You need to give them some tools like Slack or Gmail. You need to give them everything you would normally give them in a day-to-day if they were working inside your company. So with Josh, the builder, the first step to even building our agent, the process that I work through is I need to understand what the problem is. So for you, think about what the problem is you're trying to solve. Let's assume that the problem that you're trying to solve is your emails are backed up because you've got too many appointments going on and you need an agent or an employee to go through all of your emails, figure out what appointments you actually have and start to filter through those appointments so you know who you're turning up to tomorrow. So let's build out that agent to be your email and calendar booking agent. That's what we're going to build today with Josh the Builder. The first step to identifying what to build is figuring out what that problem is that I've just covered. So for you, our emails and our calendar is backed up. Think about the problem that you're trying to solve. Now, if you have a VA or a PA or an EA, for them, you would normally hire them. You pay them $70K, $80K, $90K, $100K to do that job for you. They may be better deployed elsewhere. So think about that for them. If they could have an agent that assists them in doing that role, they can be better deployed somewhere else inside your business. So with the process is the way that your employee or your agent is then going to carry out that task. And the ideal result is we don't have emails that we've got to filter through at the end of the day. Maybe it's 9 p.m. at night and you're going through all of your emails. We don't want that to happen anymore. So the result then is for your emails and your inbox and your calendars, it's clear. You've got freedom inside of your business, freedom inside of your day-to-day operations. This process of building our agent, the first step is sort of like having an alarm system. When you show up every day, I assume you have an alarm that goes off that says, hey, get up. It's time to get in action, right? That trigger, that alarm on your phone, that's the thing that starts your day. Now, with any agent, we need that trigger to work the same way. So what I'm going to do is break this down for you very simply so that our agent is operating like you would or like an employee would, okay? So this bad boy, Joshy the Builder, he has a brain, and this brain is our memory. We also have my identity, who I am, how I operate, what I do. We then have here our trigger. Our trigger is how I show up every day. We have tools. These are the tools, so the tool belt, like a bricklayer or like a builder has a hammer and they may have pliers so they can do their job or carry out their job. So like you as a employee, agent, CEO, you're going to have a bunch of tools that you can do your job. An agent works exactly the same way. Now, you may have and wear different hats inside of your business, maybe inside of your everyday life, and you want then this agent to then have interchangeable hats. These are what we deem to be the variables, right? The saucy bits, the interchanging people that show up to your bookings and your appointments. If I give this agent no understanding of who I am, if you give an employee no role, no job description, no identity, no prompt, they don't know what they're doing. You would never do that when you onboard an employee, right? You tell them who they are, what they're doing, you give them a bunch of documentation that shows them all the SOPs about the day-to-day operations of your business, brand identity, guidelines, all this stuff. That is knowledge that an agent would have in the same way that an employee would. Now, this is all great, but you would then trigger your employee or you would trigger your day-to-day with some sort of human in the loop, which is our radio. Makita radio. This Makita radio is going to be the way that you get notified that something's been done. So if you have employees that do a task, they would then say to you, hey, this has been done. That is human in the loop. This process with building out our agents is what we're going to build out now. And I'll work through step by step how we do the prompt, create the hat, the tool belt, the alarm, the trigger, the radio, our knowledge base, and our memory. So if we come to this tool called Relevance AI, they've got some pretty cool features inside of here. One of those is that if you understand English and you know English, you can then build an agent very easily. Now, if we can compartmentalize, we can break down exactly what I just did there. I just built an agent right now, visually. So if we can break that down with the problem that we're trying to solve, and we can bring in the trigger, what the action is, the emails come in, the variables, the tool belt, the memory, the brain. If we can put all of that inside of our prompt, you can then have Relevance AI just build exactly what you want. So we're gonna do that right now, just using text, okay? So very simple. My trigger is when an email comes in. So if you get an email with a person that has booked my appointment, that's our trigger. That's what starts our workflow. So this workflow, the process, the problem we've identified, the process then needs to happen into an action. That's our step-by-step. Trigger and then action. Inside of our trigger, we need to identify the email account. And then we just say Google/Gmail. Now you may want to have a couple of different triggers. You may want to have your Gmail. You may want to have Google Calendar. Just define what that is in your trigger. So you can bring that down here and we can delete this section and we can add another trigger, which would be Google Calendar. Now just put that in brackets to highlight to the prompt builder that I have two separate types of triggers there as part of the initial alarm that starts the workflow. The next step is I have an action. So this action is what triggers my Josh the Builder agent to start his day-to-day operations. So what I wanted to do is read the email, identify the person, identify the booking, and if you like, a nice little bonus is to do research on the person that's showing up to the call. So when we identify the person, we want to research the person. So that could be go to LinkedIn, that could be go to their website, and that's going to allow you, when you turn up, it's going to know who you are, what you do. It's also going to know who they are and what they do. So research the person and then provide an email as a notification. So those are our actions. The knowledge, our little backpack that we have. This is the information about your business. So go to your website and just copy all of the text. If you've got brand guidelines, just grab all of your brand guidelines and just copy and paste that and put it into the knowledge section there inside of this prompt. So for me, I'm just going to say knowledge, Josh O'Sullivan. I'm going to say CEO of 2 companies, workable.ai plus instituteai.io, my website URLs, right? So it's going to grab that information, bring it in as knowledge and context. So we have our trigger, our action, our knowledge. So we've ticked off the baseline here. When do we want this to happen? What's our alarm? When an email comes in. If you want that on a schedule, you can say every time a booking for appointment comes in. So then every time a booking appointment comes in, then on that schedule, it's going to trigger or fire off this agent like your employee would. Every time you get a booking that comes into your calendar, every time you get an email, they're then prompted to go and read that email. Rather than that employee doing it, now our agent is going to do that. So they have the trigger, they have our then tools, they have that action, they've got our knowledge base. Let's then have human in the loop. And that human in the loop is how do you want to be notified it's been done? Or an escalation path if it hasn't. Let's say for our example, our escalation, if I can spell it right, escalation path will be Slack notification. Okay. This here, we've now ticked off the baseline of our agent. We want to have a little bit of memory inside of there so that every time you have a meeting, our agent remembers the person that you had that meeting with and the context of the email. So we pop that memory inside of here. And now our agent for relevance is going to do all the hard work for us so you don't have to. So what I've just outlined is a baseline of something called prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is the understanding of how to actually speak to AI so you can get what you want back. So think about for yourselves the step-by-step process you go through every single day and the problem you're trying to solve. And that will help you to get to the ideal result and outcome. As we see here, this agent is then going to prompt you to sort of clarify certain aspects. Right? Should the agent act only on Google Calendar bookings? I'm going to say yes to number one. And then for escalation, should every booking trigger a Slack message? I'm going to say yes. If you want to get funky with it, you can put a 1 and a 2, just so you don't have to continue to speak to your conversational AI agent that's building out your agent for you. So it's AI doing the work. AI is doing the building, so you don't have to. Now what we have here is we're building the framework of your employee, your workforce, so that within your company, within your day-to-day life, you don't have to do all of the grunt work and the grindy stuff that you're probably doing at the moment. That just means you've got a whole bunch of free time to build more agents. Now, maybe you're not the one that's going to build the agents. Maybe it's people within your team, maybe it's people within your organization. So if they can have the awareness, the understanding that if they know how to speak English, you can build that agent. Just think about how much more you can get done. I don't think people understand how easy it's become. You don't need to be a developer. You don't need to be a coder. You don't need to be someone who has deep understanding and knowledge of this. You just need to know that it can be done. And that's where it starts, really. It starts with knowing that it can be done. If you can start there, if you can start here where we are, then you can build a prompt, have an agent, and have your business, have your life running on autopilot. So start at this point here, building out this agent. So our agent has come back as the appointment researcher and it's given us our region, it's given it a name, it's given us a prompt and a role. So this prompt and our role, this is our tradie. This is Josh. Josh, the AI agent. You can change this around as you wish. I'm just going to go through and accept all, right? It's going to prompt you to connect all your accounts, connect up enrichment, add knowledge, add files. To do this, if you've got Notion or Google Drive or SharePoint, a text file, you can add all that knowledge base inside of there. It wouldn't have done that if we didn't give it the right prompt, the right trigger, and the right framework so we could build out this agent. So our knowledge base, go in, drop in a file inside of there, and that file is going to be all the information. You can just grab text from your website to add the text file. You can grab something from your Google Drive and drop it in there. So if I connect up my account here, I grab a file and I can go through my Google Drive direct inside of Relevance AI. So if I want to jump into my files, I drop one in there. I'm not going to do that, otherwise all of you guys will have access to all my files. So we build that knowledge base. We have our memory. You can enable short and long-term memories, so it remembers the people that show up to our meetings. We have our variables. So here will be the hats that interchange, the memories that we save. And we have our tools, the knowledge base, the tools, the prompt, the person. Now your agent is going to be live. The one thing we'll change is we'll change this to be Josh, the calendar booking agent. Let's save this bad boy. Let's rock and roll. So your agent can be part of a series of agents in your workforce. In your organization, you would have a workforce of employees at different roles, different responsibilities. This agent then can go and get that information and do all these things on your behalf. That's it. It's how easy it is to rock and roll. So start to mold and shape that. Then you can come here to Relevance and speak to your agent. You can ask it questions like, what kind of booking appointments do I have this week, tomorrow, today? Prep me for my upcoming meeting. Read my emails and see all the people I had meetings with last week. Having an agent, much like an employee, allows you to extend your capabilities, but also your team's capabilities. Have a play around, jump into that one, get into the saucy mix of what we've just created so that you can have your AI agent and we can enjoy a funky little beer together and an esky. I'll see you in the next one.